Okay, welcome. So we're here with another Synfig tutorial, and what I'm going to be showing you today is how to use the skeletal deformation tool. And this tool is used to basically distort your images. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is, well, here I have an image layer. I'm just going to be putting this in a group, and let's give this a name. I'm just going to call it, well, minion, I guess. Right, and I'm going to be going for my skeletal deformation tool now. So to get access to that tool, just right click, new layer, distortions, and click on skeletal deformation. So immediately once you insert that, you add that layer, your image will look a bit like this, a bit distorted, right? Don't worry about that. That's how the tool works, right? Although sometimes it doesn't get distorted, but in most cases it will be distorted like this. Once it appears, just turn off the tool and you will see your image. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to put both of these into one group, because I want the skeletal deformation layer to only affect the layer underneath it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. So let me select the both of these and put them within a group. So it will only affect the layer that is inside that group. Okay, so with the skeletal deformation layer selected, we can see that there's a bounding box around our image. So this basically, just make sure your image is within this bounding area right here. You can position the box, just to be enough over the image as best as possible. All right, and here we have a bone. So what I'm going to do is, just like the skeletal tool or skeletal layer, we just want to create bones to fit the character that we have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to add one bone here, right click, create child bone, put one here, then I'm going to add one for the head. I'm adding bones wherever I want the character to have some movement, right? So I'm going to be creating a bone from this piece here, right click, create child bone, and move it over to the arm. I'm just going to create two more bones and position them here. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Right click here again, create child bone. Just be careful when you add the bone. At times it gets added above the parent bone, and then you have to move the bone. So just be careful to select the correct bone. Right click, create child bone, and position this here, and I'm going to take this moment to save. Always remember to save, okay? And I'm going to click on this one right here. I'm going to create child bone. I'm just going to undo. I'm going to create some bones for the legs. So I believe the knee should be somewhere about here. I'm going to right click, create child bone, position it here, right click, create child bone, position it here, and I'm going to do the same for the other side. So right click, create child bone, right click, create child bone. I'm going to move this up a bit. This down, and right click, create child bone. And I'm going to hit save again, just for good measure. Okay, so once you've finished mapping out your image, right, with your bones, the next step you want to do is turn on this tool right here. Now, with this turned on, you'll see a whole bunch of points, because it adds its own points. This is basically what we'll use to tell the bones, which areas to influence, right? So we have too many points here, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn off some of these points, and you can use these icons here to turn off the points that you don't want to see. Yeah, I think that is okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and select the areas that we want to influence. So with the top part of the bone here, I'm going to have this area influence the head. So I'm just going to left click this point, this pinkish looking point or pink point, and just drag it out to influence the head. And the beginning part, you want to bring that out enough just to, I'm going to imagine that we have a neck, so I'm just going to bring it out enough to where a neck would be, although this character does not have a neck, right? Now I'm going to move to the arm, and right where the joint is, I just want to move that out a bit, like so. And usually the ending bone is the one that will have the most influence. So go ahead and just click on that bone and bring it all the way over to that area to give it influence to that whole area right here. Alright, don't worry about it being down here. And I'm going to use this end part again. Just left click, drag, bring it out enough. I'm going to actually bring it all the way over to influence this entire part right here. This end piece, influence the arm. And for the little piece right here, I'm just going to open it out. And the joint at the elbow, I'm going to open it out a bit like so. It's going to look really weird, right, and take some getting used to. But don't worry about it. You can, you don't have to get it perfect the first time, but just keep practicing and you'll get better at it, right? So I'm just gonna go here. Just remember that at the joints, right, that area is usually, you wouldn't give it all that much influence like the ending point of the joint, right? So you just open it enough to cover a bit of that area, and then the second part of the joint, now you want to give it basically all the influence of that whole area, right? So again, the ending point of the leg, which is this, I'm going to open it out so that it can encapsulate all the foot area. And then for the small joints, now I'm just going to open that up. And for the knee, I'm going to open it up enough just to cover that surface area right here, right? And I'm going to do the same for this area right here, ending part. Give it all the influence of that area. Give it all the influence of that area. And then the knee, a bit out here just to engulf that area, and then this joint right here. And we're going to do the same with the arms. I'm going to pause and just save, right? And continue. So open it up to the joint area right there. Give this all the influence of that area right there. And give this the influence of this whole arm right here. And this piece, oops, undo this piece, the entire hand. Then this would cover just the joint, this area, the joint, right? And oh, for the stomach area, we want to use this ending point and just let me bring it all the way out to engulf this area right here. I'm gonna bring this up enough as well, and I'm going to bring this out as well. As I said, it's going to look all crazy when you're doing this, but don't worry about it. Just know that you just want to give the areas of influence enough space so that the deformation tool can deform all the parts of the image. Okay, and I'm going to save again. And now the next step is to turn on the skeletal deformation. Now this might, depend on how I've done this might work perfectly or it may not, and we'll have to go in and do some editing. But let's see what happens. So let me turn this on, and it is now warped. All right, so the reason why this is so is because it has applied all that we've done, right? But we have to go and reset the tool, and to do that, just right click the skeletal deformation layer and click on a reset pose, and it will be reset, right? So this worked out perfectly. I don't see any weird deformations or anything like that. So the next step is to turn off our influence tool right there, right? And you can turn on back the ones that you want. I'm going to turn on back all these. I'm going to save again, right? So now our skeletal deformation tool is applied. So whenever I move any of the points, we see it is now affecting the character here. So that is pretty cool, right? And the arms are bent. When you're doing this, you might want to do it with a character where the arms are straight, are aligned straight out. As notice, we are having a bit of deformation right here when I move the arm. So the arm is, there's a little bit of influence there, but I'm not going to worry about that. We can go back in by turning off the skeletal deformation tool and turning on, and just reduce the influence and doing back, going over a bit of what we did before by just, reducing the points and changing this all up. But I'm not going to do that because I'm comfortable with what I have here, right? So yeah, you can even scale, right? So you can use this to do some pretty cool stuff, right? And let's say you mess this all up, some weird pose, you can just right click the skeletal deformation tool and click on reset pose, and you will get back your original pose, right? And of course you can animate this like pretty much everything in Synfig. So just demonstrate that real quick. Turn on animate, and I'm going to delete. I always delete the first keyframe here, then just move to add a keyframe, then just move down the timeline to add more keyframes, right? So if I should play this back, we see the movements. All right, and that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I rarely use this tool, but I just want you guys to know that this tool is there and you can use it. But me personally, I pretty much don't use this at any point in time. But yeah, so that's it for this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, MRD.